From thinking to feeling. Why spiritual awakening begins in the heart. Opening. Good day, dear friends. Today we will explore a subtle but transformative movement in human consciousness. A movement that many spiritual traditions describe, yet few people fully understand. It is the journey from thinking to feeling. At first, this phrase may seem simple, but within it lies a profound shift in the center of our awareness. Most human beings live primarily in the thinking mind. Our thoughts analyze the world, compare experiences, remember the past, and anticipate the future. The mind is an extraordinary tool. Without it, science would not exist. Medicine would not exist. Civilization itself would not exist. But despite its brilliance, the thinking mind has a limitation. It cannot directly experience life. It can describe life. It can interpret life. It can analyze life, but it cannot fully live life. Spiritual awakening begins when awareness moves beyond this constant thinking, when the center of our experience shifts from the head to the heart. This is not a rejection of the mind. It is a rebalancing, a rediscovery of another way of knowing. A way of knowing that is not based on analysis, but on direct presence. Today we will explore this journey together. The age of the thinking mind. Modern civilization celebrates the intellect. From childhood, we are trained to think. We learn to calculate. We learn to memorize. We learn to solve problems. Education systems reward analytical thinking. Science and technology advance through rational inquiry. All of this is valuable. But there is a hidden cost. Because in emphasizing thinking so strongly, we often forget how to feel deeply. Many people live almost entirely inside their heads. Their inner world becomes filled with thoughts, plans, worries, memories, judgments. The mind becomes a continuous stream of mental activity. Sometimes this activity is useful, but often it becomes noise. This constant mental noise prevents us from fully experiencing the present moment. The limits of thought. Thought has an important function. It helps us navigate the practical world. But thought operates through symbols and concepts. A thought about a tree is not the same as seeing a tree. A thought about love is not the same as feeling love. A thought about peace is not the same as experiencing peace. Thought creates representations of reality. But the representation is never the reality itself. This is one of the great insights of both philosophy and contemplative traditions. The mind describes the world, but it does not replace direct experience. When we live entirely in thought, life becomes distant, filtered, abstract. We become observers of life rather than participants in it. Rediscovering the heart. What do we mean by the heart? In spirituality, the heart is not only the physical organ. It represents a center of awareness characterized by presence, empathy, compassion, connection, sensitivity. The heart experiences life directly. Where the mind analyzes, the heart feels. Where the mind separates, the heart connects. When awareness shifts toward the heart, something remarkable happens. Life becomes more vivid. Colors appear brighter. Relationships feel deeper. Moments become more meaningful. We begin to experience life not as a series of problems to solve, but as a living mystery to explore. Why awakening begins in the heart. Many spiritual traditions point to the heart as the doorway to awakening. This is not accidental. The heart represents a mode of consciousness that is naturally open, receptive, non-judgmental. The mind tends to divide reality. It asks, is this good or bad? Is this success or failure? Is this gain or loss? The heart experiences reality without constantly dividing it. It allows life to be what it is. In this openness, awareness deepens. And in that deepened awareness, awakening becomes possible. The neuroscience perspective. Interestingly, modern science is beginning to explore connections between the heart and the brain. The heart contains its own network of neurons. Some scientists refer to this as the heart-brain connection. The heart communicates with the brain through the nervous system. Emotional states such as gratitude, compassion, and appreciation influence this communication. These states can create what researchers call heart-brain coherence. In such states, physiological systems become more balanced, breathing becomes calmer, stress responses decrease, mental clarity improves. In this way, emotional states associated with the heart influence the entire body. Ancient spiritual traditions spoke about the wisdom of the heart long before modern physiology began to study it. The transformation of perception. When awareness shifts from thinking to feeling, perception changes. The world no longer appears as a collection of separate objects. Instead, we begin to sense an underlying interconnectedness. Nature feels alive. Other people feel less like strangers and more like fellow travelers. Compassion arises naturally, not as a moral obligation, but as a spontaneous response to the recognition of shared existence. This transformation is one of the hallmarks of spiritual awakening. Obstacles to the heart. If the heart is so central to awakening, why do so many people remain trapped in the thinking mind? There are several reasons. First, modern culture emphasizes intellect over emotional awareness. Second, many people have experienced emotional pain. To protect themselves, they close the heart. Third, constant stimulation from technology keeps the mind active. Silence becomes rare. Without silence, the deeper dimensions of awareness remain hidden. The journey from thinking to feeling, therefore, requires courage. It requires the willingness to slow down, to become quiet, to listen inwardly. Practices that support the shift. Several practices can help facilitate this shift. Meditation is one of the most powerful. When we sit quietly and observe our thoughts, we begin to realize that we are not our thoughts. We become aware of the silent presence behind the thinking mind. Breathing practices also help. Slow, conscious breathing naturally activates the body's relaxation response. This calms the nervous system and opens emotional awareness. Gratitude is another powerful practice. When we consciously appreciate the simple aspects of life, nature, relationships, existence itself, the heart begins to open. These practices gradually shift our center of awareness. Living from the heart. When the heart becomes the center of awareness, life changes. Decision-making becomes more intuitive. Relationships become more authentic. Creativity flows more easily. Even challenges are experienced differently. Instead of resisting life, we begin to collaborate with it. The mind continues to function, but it becomes a servant rather than a master. The heart guides, the mind implements. This harmony between heart and mind represents a mature form of consciousness. Conclusion: the hidden shift. The journey from thinking to feeling is not dramatic. It is subtle, quiet, almost invisible, but it changes everything. It transforms how we experience ourselves, how we experience others, and how we experience the world. Spiritual awakening does not necessarily involve extraordinary visions or mystical experiences. Sometimes it is simply the rediscovery of something we always had: the capacity to feel deeply, to be present, to experience life directly. And perhaps this is why awakening begins in the heart, because the heart reminds us that beyond all thoughts, all concepts, and all philosophies, there is a living presence. A presence that is already whole, already aware, already connected with the mystery of existence. Thank you for listening. May we continue exploring the beautiful journey from thinking to feeling. Founder Holistic Wellness Foundation, Imphal, healing beyond boundaries.